Let's get more reaction on Ed Miliband's latest comments on immigration, segregation and integration. We can speak now to Juan Camilo from the Migrant Rights Network. He joins us from central London. A very good afternoon to you.
Hello.
Too little has been done to integrate people who've settled in British society was the central message from the Labour leader today. Is he right about that, do you think?
Well, I wouldn't take that as the central message. I think his speech actually gave a positive view of integration. He gave his own family's experience. He talked about Jewish communities in the East End in the past. And I think the central message which you take is that the government could have done more to facilitate and accelerate the process of integration. I think he's correct when he talks about integration as a process. So if the central message is the government could have done more, I think that is very welcome. I don't think we should really emphasize this issue of the past government having made mistakes, but actually the positive content in the speech today.
But he did say, we know there is anxiety about immigration and what it means for our culture.
Yes, there is anxiety, and he referred to that anxiety on three issues: the language issue, the employment issue, and the housing issue. But the positive thing about it was that he was actually trying to propose how to address some of the isolation and the exclusion and the abuse that migrants face. His central point was that if you actually tackle that abuse and that isolation, then you improve the possibilities for migrants to have good relationships with the communities where they live. And I think that is a very, very important message to take with us.
Is he right to advocate a ban on those without high proficiency in English from some public sector jobs?
Well, I'd like to know how prevalent this is, to be honest. I'm not sure that it's very common to walk into a public office to be served by somebody who doesn't speak English. I've never come across this sort of situation. I haven't heard about it, so I'm not exactly sure what he was referring to. I mean, of course, people who are serving the public should speak English. I think that is common sense, and it should be a requirement. Now, many service providers do have officers and people who speak minority languages. That does not mean that those officers do not speak English.
That gets us into another interesting area of what he said. He suggested that local authorities should cut their translation services if that would protect their budgets for language classes. Now, is he right about that?
Well, he is right that language classes should be provided and that people should learn English once they're here. But at the same time, and people should expect not to have everything translated for them. At the same time, immigration will continue to happen, and you will always have new people who are arriving. And when you're newly arrived, it is essential that people do understand certain rules and laws that actually protect them. And if it is the case that the best way to get migrants to understand these rules, for example, employment rules, access to health rules, if the best way to achieve that is by translating it, then I think it is money well invested. But you
made an interesting point there a moment ago. You used the words once they're here, the suggestion being that people can come to the country and then learn English. You'll be aware of a point of view that says actually they should learn English before they can come.
Well, a lot of practitioners in this field would actually say that the best way to learn English is by learning it within the communities where English is spoken, so actually once you're here. And whereas that sort of requirement, it is possible for some migrants, it is not possible to introduce it for other migrants. So, I mean, we know that there's a large flow of migrant workers from Central Europe, and that in the future we will also have workers from Romania and Bulgaria. You cannot impose on them an English language requirement for them to move into the UK. So you do have to have provision for people once they are here.
We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for your thoughts, Juan Camilo there from the Migrant Rights Network.
Now, Birmingham's City Hospital has closed all its wards to visitors because of an outbreak of the winter vomiting bug.